Yeah, I am starting from like kind of the sketch phase because I forgot to record when I actually started this process. But in the end, I probably will do that another the next time when I start doing a drawing. But I just want to show how my process works when I do my art, basically. Pretty much have a basic shape. I start with I usually start with a silhouette to get a better basic understanding of where I want it to be. So, and then I use a reference from. I use two references actually. I pull a 3D model from Clip Studio Paint. That's a program I use basically all the time, and it's very much worth the price that I got it for. I bring the model, I pose it, move it around, pose it to where I want it. And I adjust it so that it matches the actual reference I'm using, and this which is a K-pop Demon Hunters reference meme that I've seen quite a bit of people draw characters in, or basically, I just wanted to actually try my hand at this reference, try my hand at this pose as well. I have the model and my drawing so that I have the proportions correct when I'm doing the back, as I'm having this character wearing a skin tight, something that's skin tight, so I can actually showcase the back muscles a little bit. I don't understand, and why? Because I wanted to really. I want. I'm sorry, I'm not really able to talkative all that much because I just want to explain my process and just show how it works. At least how it works for me. It might not work for everybody, but over the course of my time of drawing, I pretty much know what I'm doing, what works for me. And right now, I'm starting with the line art. I always go for a clean-ish line art, and I try to keep it nice and fresh, and show the outline of what I of the work itself, the artwork itself, so I give a clear picture of what I'm doing. I don't line all the details. I just give it like a rough outline here, so it gives an idea of hey, this person has curly hair, has refined jawline, or something like that. He has sideburns, ear, and a little bit of hair over the ear there, and the sideburn right there. His nose being hidden by the hand right there. I'm trying not to do the zoom in too much because I feel it's better to do the zoom out, but I want to get into the sort of details like showing the curly hair. I do have to zoom a little bit to make sure everything's all good. And I get to the back area, just to let this whole showcase sort of drawing based on this pose that I'm doing. For some reason, I kind of pause here for a while, and I realized I could have I don't know, just kept going and get to the finer details, like the arm back there, the arm that's going up towards the foreground, a little bit of folds and creases, and some indication of the muscles underneath the fabric, and the earring, which is kind of like a dagger or something. It's an interesting earring design that I went with. And I begin the coloring process. Okay, when I do the coloring process, I start by basically using the magic tool. I select the outside of the drawing area, all the outside of the drawing area that I'm not going to color, and I expand it by 1 pixel, and then I invert it and color the inside of the drawing with gray, because that actually makes it easier for me when I color and do the base color, because you'll be able to see if I miss, any spots or whatever, or it gets covered up by everything else, by the underside. Start with the whole magic tool, and then with the colored, kind of do a colored line process, and have the line area colored, but not like actually colored. But that's the technique I'm doing lately, is to make the pot. Because I like doing colored line art, but I don't really want to go through the hassle of actually coloring the line art. So I just do the process this way, like just filling in the areas with the base color, and then going for, and then just basically using a special lasso tool to color the areas where the lines overlap over, so that it matches the color of the base color, if that makes sense. And the eyes and the mouth, I just kept as the same color as the skin. I color the And now I get to the shading process, and I use a multiply layer on I clip the multiply layer, and I select the skin color first, and maybe make it the skin more saturated and darker, and then I just fill the whole layer up with, that color that I picked. And then I go for an eraser tool, and I just erase the parts that have more harder shadow, more like, I would go for, I fill it up with the dark first, and then I erase parts where light shows, and then I go back over it with a softer brush, and just refine the lighting a bit more to match, to go be similar to my reference. Because I will definitely be getting over this with, the blues and pinks that are showing in the reference. But right now, I'm going with the base. The base is not being too detailed, but at least showing everything that needs to be shown right here. It's kind of semi-realistic, but I kind of like how this render process is, and it takes less time for me, but it's also more enjoyable, because rendering takes a very long time, and I wanted to do it in a process that's easier for me, but still works the way I want it to. I should tend to have some moments where I pause in my drawing because I get distracted, because I have things going on in the background. I'm listening to something while I'm drawing, or watching something while I am also drawing. And this coloring process doesn't really take that much effort to me. I just need to, reflect the kind of lighting on the photos. And I do this thing called a bounce light. When I was seeing I was doing the hair right here. It's supposed to be a curly hair, but so I'm trying to emulate this curly hair using a technique. I follow a creator called Feng Shu. I don't can't pronounce her name very well, but she's helped me basically improve my drawing and coloring since I've been watching her for months, and it's greatly improved my work and inspired me to continue drawing. Realized that it doesn't look quite as well as I wanted it to look, so I ended up fixing this and making it look like black. I was trying to make it curly, and I was like, this doesn't work. It's not working the way I wanted it to work. And I just kept trying. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna fix this. Yeah. And it's just do this very, very soft shading, and then I just go into it in places where there's distinct lighting on the hair to at least emulate that this is curly hair. And I finally have a process of how to do this curly hair, make it look to emulate that there's curls in the hair. I'm not even using a reference as how the curly hair works. I just know is that there's a lot of like swirls and overlaps that make it seem like it's curly hair, and I'm just basically just winging it as somebody who has doesn't have curly hair but who has hair that curls towards like areas of my hair. I do have an idea how the curly hair kind of works. I just like wing it and go from it from there. And it's just give some light subtle parts and darker in spots where there's some lighting in the hair but not like distinctly, just to give the emulation that there's at least the texture of hair there. And I use between a mixing brush, airbrush, and all that. And all I do is erase these parts instead of like adding it in, if that makes any sense. And I'm just like doing a touch up on the hair right here. And once I finish, doing the touch ups, I go in and add a highlight to make add a little shine to the hair, make it, since the hair can be a little shiny, even even with the from lighting, direct lighting. And then go to and I just color in the eyeball using a sort of faint skin-like shade. Right. I believe I go with the fabric next, and it's kind of trying to emulate trying to copy how the lighting works from the picture that I have right there, and while also keeping the softer this and just giving more light in areas where the light is more prominent, if that makes sense. Given this is a tight fabric that's kind of smooth, I can't describe what kind of fabric it is. I'm just winging the fabric, using it by adding bad sides, even adding darker areas to the thing, and adding light, adding light replaces bounce off stronger, hard shadows and everything. And I didn't even realize I moved the layer a little bit more, and I was like, oh crap, I need to fix this. So I had to fix it, redo the parts, and it looks a little better. And I kind of impressed myself when I did this. And I was just like, wait, whoa, I could just basically make it look very almost realistic. And in some areas, it looks so smooth because I've seen some artists like have very smooth shading, rendering style. And I don't know if it makes sense. I'm just rendering it. I'm just like doing the details here, and then I go with the mouth, and I realize I should have made the mouth white. I might fix that before I officially post it, but I should have made the mouth part here white, and like that there's your teeth here, but it's fine. I just add lights, some highlights, and and I do Alright, I'm doing the lies kind of almost second to last. I just start with a circle, and then I do the details. I give a diamond shaped kind of pupil because this character is supposed to be a vampire, and I'm kind of emulating that with this drawing by making this character look a little bit supernatural. And I pick all hazel because it's a really nice color, and I felt this fit this character. And I like the look of glowing eyes looking like yellow golds ish, basically. So it's just like finish, do the details in the side, kind of add darken it a little bit, and then I go over with add glow uh, layers to make the glowing effect, and then I add the shine there, and I pretty much finish it up with a final, like adding the blue glow effect, which turned out didn't turn out very well at first because it wasn't looking like the picture. It doesn't look like it the rough I was using. It's like wait, this dude died, and then I just kind of mess around with the colors a little bit to make it at least match the reference I'm using. Just adding the blues here. And I just realized I just don't need to use a blending mode at all. And I just add the pinks here to match, pinks in like the other areas, pinks and reds. And that just makes it's just on the back areas. And I do the background, it kind of matches the reference right there. And after that, I pretty much finished. It's pretty much done. I did had to fix a little couple things before I posted it, but otherwise, well, it was done. So I thank everybody for watching the video, and hope to see you next time.